listen to fall to the floor.
Hello, welcome back to another pen talk. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be on a roll. We're going to continue on with our exploration of some of the very interesting fountain pens being manufactured in China and available through eBay auctions, which is where I've been finding them. I'm certain Alibaba and other sites, which I'm not comfortable with or familiar with, probably also has these pens available. But I utilize the resources that I have, and I try to maximize those. I have other Delikes. I have the brass model, which came in similar packaging. Very functional cardboard box, extremely recyclable. There is some identifying characteristics on the end. Nothing that makes sense to me, but it's a 0.38 millimeter, so we'll call this an extra fine. The sleeve slides off. I'm letting the box hinge on the label. If I cut that, it would just come right off. Just a classic foam pad, and then we have the pen. It's very blue, and you can probably already see the chatoyancy in the materials. I have LED lights, no sunlight, so it's a little bit different lighting than I'm used to using for my videos, but I think this light certainly shows off this pen in all of its splendor. It's a good looking pen. You're going to have to like blue to like the pen, but you have to admire the chatoyancy in the acrylics that are machined to make this pen. A nice solid substantial clip. The first thing you might say is, boy, that pen looks familiar. It looks like a Pro Gear Slim. And we'll compare that this pen with that pen a little bit later. It's an unscrew cap, which is also very familiar with the Sailor variety. It takes about 1.5 turns. And the first thing you'll notice, at least to me, is the section is the same material as the barrel, as the cap end, as the barrel end. It's just nice. The cap band is also very well done, a clean engraving, and New Moon. So whether New Moon is the style or the color, not really certain. This has that wonderful freshly machined acrylic odor, which some of the Noodler's pens are known for, especially the Neponset. And also some of my Indian acrylic pens also have that acrylic smell. It's more or less a plastic smell, different from the camphor of celluloid, but it is very distinguished. So, in honor to Steph, we're going to do a little twirly twirl. The light, I'm very happy, really shows off the chatoyancy. So before we do anything else with this pen, obviously you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to unscrew the section. Standard converter moves up and down very easily, but I'm going to flush the pen. I'm going to take a look at the inside to see if that metal comes through, to see if it is eyedroppable. But before we do that, let's take a look at what we think this pen emulates, which is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. I think this is the only one that I have. The size is pretty much the same, but it's more the shape and the design elements that really make these pens very comparable. New Moon, with regards to a few other pens, which I think we can find some interesting similarities. The first thing we'll do is compare it to the Lingmo. The acrylics are similar, but the New Moon just has that extra bit of chatoyancy. Some nice sunlight coming in, so that really shows it off. So this is, the Delike is what I would call what I would see most modern acrylics have, that kind of, you turn it 90 degrees, nothing, and then another 90 degrees, you get some chatoyancy, 90 degrees, nothing. So as you rotate around, there's definitely orientation to the way the plastic was made. Whereas in the Lingmo, you guys got specks that show up occasionally, which I think is more similar to my experience with vintage celluloid. But what is the New Moon Mimic? To me, it's Sailor Pro Gear. Similar size, similar shape, similar length. Obviously, this is a kind of a unique Pro Gear, kind of a speckly purple, but there is a lot of similarities. The cap band is different. The clip is not as much different as you might expect. You got your finial, no Sailor anchor at the top, but again, it's an aesthetic detail, not functional with the writing of the pen. They both feel about the same. They weigh about the same. So, and just for namesakers, a 1911 standard. So just wanted to compare, sizes, so you can get an idea what they're like. And it's interesting. I just find this whole new models coming out from the Chinese pen manufacturers are just very interesting. One of the things that I mentioned when I first opened up the Delike is how the section was made out of the same material as the barrel and cap, and as you look at the Sailor, you'll notice that it's not. Sailors are typical for that. They generally have the same black section in all their models, and the same chatoyancy that you have in the rest of the pen is also in the section, which is nice. So again, you can see they're very similar size and shape. Inside here is a metal section that the converter attaches to, so you got a little bit more stability there from the metal, but I've not had issues with this type of plastic, so I'm comfortable that both of them have a fairly long life. The one thing is with the metal inside the pens, you're precluded from probably using them as an eyedropper. And the other thing that you'll also notice differently is Sailor nibs are Sailor nibs. There's no question about that. Certainly minimalistic design on the Delike, and also both, let's see, the Sailor is also an extra, it's a medium fine, a hard medium fine, H-MF. And that's, looks like on the fine side to me, but then a lot of Japanese nibs look fine. But that one, the extra fine on the Delike, is definitely a fine point. I would be remiss if I wouldn't discuss a problem that I've seen crop up with these Delike nib and feed assemblies, is bent fins on the section. I think this is just by hitting them from the cap, taking the cap on and off. I also noticed this slightly on the blue pen too. So I think that's a design flaw. I think they're made fairly soft. Doesn't change how the pen writes, and they're very easy to just straighten out with a little knife to get in there. So I just wanted to let you guys know, if you see that, I've seen it too, and I don't think there's anything you can really do to fix it except be more careful putting the cap on and off. I did take my trusty scalpel and straighten them out a little bit. Looks like they're never going to be perfect, but it's a little bit better than they were. And like I said, it doesn't detract from using the pen. Moon is a little on the small side, and it barely fits. In fact, feels very short in my hand. It does post deep and very securely, and this is definitely a pen that I would write with posted. Let's see what this nib will do. It lays down a pretty solid line. It is extra fine. You do feel it on the paper. You get a decent amount of feedback from it. There's no flex to it. More pressure, puts out a little bit more ink, but not substantially. This is Iroshizuku Konpeki. I'm kind of on an Iroshizuku blast. It dries pretty quickly, so this is certainly on the medium dry side as far as wetness goes, but it, this is a very usable pen. Not my writing style as far as how the nib feels on paper. I love the Jinhound 992s, which are fine, but write more like a medium. I like some of the other nibs out of some of the Chinese pens, but this one is really on the fine side. So I could replace this as one of the nibs in my Delike brass pens, which I think are smoother and write a little bit wider, even though they're labeled extra fine. So that's a quick look at this pen. There's been a couple other people that have reviewed it, like Wasky Squirrel. He did the orange color. He did the, I think he did. Forget that. Scratch that. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little look at an interesting pen. Pretty pen, but probably not as good of a daily writer as I would like from how it feels in the hand, but I definitely enjoy the look. So may you have many great writing experiences. Enjoy them all. Enjoy your day. Bye.